So, hey guys, what's up? And today I'm gonna actually do a Game of Thrones recap video for you. Since season 7 is coming out tomorrow, well, I guess it's time to recap season 1 to 6. So, first of all, we have the family of House Stark, which has Eddard Ned Stark, and he married to Catelyn Tully, and they had 5 sons, which is Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, and Rickon Stark. Ned Stark also had a bastard son called Jon Snow, and they also adopted Theon Greyjoy after the Greyjoy Rebellion. Then here is the family tree of the Lannisters. First is Tywin Lannister and his wife Joanna Lannister, giving birth to 3 children, Cersei, Jaime, and Tyrion Lannister. And of course, Cersei and Jaime gave birth to 3 children after they had sex, because incest. Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen Baratheon. Well, maybe you are asking, why are they Baratheon? Well, because everyone thinks these children are from Cersei and Robert Baratheon, who married to Cersei. And then this is the Baratheon family tree. Robert Baratheon's and his 2 brother, which is Stannis and Renly Baratheon. Then we also have Daenerys Targaryen and her brother Viserys Targaryen. She also has a brother Rhaegar Targaryen, but it's not in the show. And in Robert's Small Council there is Peter Baelish, Varys, Pycelle, and Jon Arryn, who died. That's why Robert Baratheon went to Ned Stark in Winterfell to look for a new hand of the king. And Sansa also fell in love with Joffrey, because why not? And Tyrion helped Jon Snow because Jon Snow wanted to join the Night's Watch. And also, Bran climbed a tower and saw Cersei and Jaime having sex, so Jaime pushed him off the tower and causing him to lose his legs. So, Tyrion and Jon Snow went to Castle Black. Meanwhile, almost everyone went to King's Landing. And Catelyn Tully also went to King's Landing and went back to Winterfell. Also, Yoren was in Castle Black. And also, Theon's whore is Ross. So on the way Catelyn was going back to Winterfell, she bumped into Tyrion Lannister. Okay, so here's the story. When Catelyn was looking after Bran, there's an assassin who tried to kill Bran Stark and Catelyn Tully. And Peter Baelish told Catelyn Tully that the dagger belongs to Tyrion Lannister. So, Catelyn Tully captured Tyrion and went to the Eyrie. Also, Daenerys and Viserys went to Vaes Dothrak after Viserys married Daenerys to Khal Drogo so that they can sail back to Westeros. And then there's Samwell Tarly, who is a friend of Jon Snow's. And then there's Bronn, who is a friend of Tyrion's and helped Tyrion escape the Eyrie. Also, there's Jorah Mormont, who is exiled from King's Landing and started being loyal and helpful to Daenerys Targaryen. And then Jaime Lannister and Ned Stark had a fight. And then Cersei made Robert Baratheon drunk, and now Robert Baratheon is dead. And then Khal Drogo poured molten gold on top of Viserys' head, because Viserys is just a dick head, so Viserys is dead. And then there's Shae and Tywin Lannister. Tyrion and Bronn went to their camp. And then there's Peter Baelish, who betrayed Ned Stark. And then there's Syrio Forel, who is a teacher of Arya Stark, but he got killed by Meryn Trant under the command of Joffrey Baratheon. And also Ned Stark's head got chopped off because Joffrey is an asshole, and Joffrey thinks that Ned Stark wanted the throne after Robert Baratheon, but instead Ned's dead. Rest in peace. Then we have because of Ned's death, Robb, Theon, and Catelyn went and started to build a camp for the war between the Starks and the Lannisters. Meanwhile, Khal, not really Khal, I think it's Mago, had a fight with Khal Drogo, and Mago died, but Khal Drogo was injured. Then there's this witch, Miri Mazdur, who also died because Daenerys burned her, and also died because she failed to heal Khal Drogo. And then Yoren suddenly showed up and took Arya with him. And then Jaime was captured by Catelyn. And then Tyrion brought Shae to King's Landing and became the Hand of the King. Under, well, Tywin Lannister's command. Oh, and Bronn also went to King's Landing. And then there's a new place called Dragonstone in Season 2, where Stannis, his advisor, Davos Seaworth, Melisandre the Red Witch, and his daughter, Shireen Baratheon. And then Tywin went to Arya's camp, Arya's place, and killed Yoren. And then this man called Jaqen H'ghar showed up, but he's actually a faceless man, and Jaqen H'ghar really doesn't exist. And then Gendry also showed up, who is Robert's bastard son. And then there's Storm's End, which lived Renly Baratheon, Margaery Tyrell, Loras Tyrell, and Brienne of Tarth. And then there's Qarth, which has Sarusan Daxos, Pyre Pri, and the Spice King. Daenerys and Jorah Mormont went to Qarth. Meanwhile, Ross went to King's Landing and joined Petyr Baelish whorehouse. And then Petyr Baelish went back to King's Landing after going to the Storm's End, bringing Margaery and Loras with him. And Brienne of Tarth and Catelyn went back to Robb's camp and then welcome to Craster's Keep, with other Night's Watch members including Jeor Mormont, Rast, Carl, Pip, and Gren. They all went to Craster's Keep. And Gilly showed up with this daughter sex really bad jerk father Craster. And then there's Qhorin Halfhand. And then Brienne of Tarth was holding captive of Jaime Lannister, bringing him back to King's Landing. Meanwhile, Petyr Baelish went to visit Arya and went back. And Theon was sent to his father, Balon Greyjoy, to get more ships, but instead, Theon betrayed Robb Stark. And then Roose Bolton helped the Starks. And then Robb met his first lover, well, not really first, but a lover anyways, Talisa Stark. They will marry. So Pyre Pri killed the Spice King, and he took Daenerys' 3 dragons. Therefore, Daenerys went and brought back her 3 dragons and killed off Sarusan Daxos and Pyre Pri, because they are apparently trying to capture Daenerys, and they're bad people. Bad. And then this is the Fist of the First Men, or Beyond the Wall. Jon Snow and Qhorin Halfhand met up, and they met a wildling called Ygritte. Meanwhile, Stannis and Davos went to King's Landing and came back after losing the war, the Battle of the Blackwater Bay. And Theon betrayed the Starks, so he sacked Winterfell, and Bran and Rickon escaped. And he also beheaded Sir Rodrik Cassel. And then Tywin Lannister went to King's Landing after Tyrion was injured in the Battle of the Blackwater and became the new Hand of the King. Then Jon Snow killed Qhorin Halfhand in order to gain the Wildlings' trust, because apparently the Wildlings captured Jon Snow under the help of Ygritte. And then Hot Pie showed up, which is together with Arya, and they managed to escape Harrenhal. So Bran and Rickon managed to escape under the help of Hodor and Asha. So let's do a little refreshment. Davos was in Dragonstone. Daenerys is all the way in Qarth. Or actually, Daenerys went to Slaver's Bay, which is Astapor, Yunkai, and Meereen. Jon Snow was beyond the wall. Bran was on top of Winterfell, almost reaching the wall. Meanwhile, Robb is somewhere in the Riverlands preparing the war between the Starks and the Lannisters. Samwell Tarly was nearly as far as Jon Snow, but still beyond the wall. Tyrion is in King's Landing. Jaime is still captured by Brienne of Tarth and in the Riverlands. Arya, also in the Riverlands. Theon just sacked Winterfell, and Yara was in the Iron Islands, although she paid visit to Theon. Later, Theon was captured by his own men and was betrayed by his own men and was sent to Ramsay Bolton, or Ramsay Snow. So, Ygritte brought Jon Snow to the King Beyond the Wall, Mance Rayder, and also his friend, advisor, Tormund Giantsbane. And then Jorah and Daenerys went to Astapor. And they met Kraznys, which is a bad guy, and Missandei, which is a good girl. And Barristan Selmy from King's Landing fled and joined Team Daenerys. Meanwhile, Locke appeared and captured Jaime and Brienne and chopped off Jaime's right hand. And Jaqen H'ghar is gone. But Arya, Hot Pie, and Gendry ran into Thoros of Myr and Beric Dondarrion, the Brotherhood without banners. And the Hound went from King's Landing to the Brotherhood without banners. So, Bran's team, they met with Jojen Reed and his sister Meero Reed. Meanwhile, Robb, Talisa, Roose, and Catelyn had to attend Hoster Tully's funeral and met up with Blackfish and Edmure Tully. And then Daenerys burnt down Kraznys and bought his army of Unsullied. And Jeor Mormont got betrayed and stabbed in the back by Rast. And Qarl also killed Craster. So after all this chaos, well, one of the people who helped the Starks, Rickard Karstark, killed Willem Lannister and Martin Lannister and got beheaded by Robb Stark himself. And then Melisandre went to the Brotherhood and also got Gendry with her. Next up, Pip and Gren went back to Castle Black, and Sam and Gilly, they fell in love with each other and they were on the way back to Castle Black. Meanwhile, Locke met up with Roose Bolton. And after running into Bran, Sam and Gilly went safely back to Castle Black. Meanwhile, Rickon and Asha went away because Bran apparently sees visions and Jojen told him that he needs to meet the Three-Eyed Raven. So, in order for Rickon to be safe, Asha and Rickon escaped. And Jon Snow ran into Bran and escaped the Wildlings and safely, not really safely, got back to Castle Black. And then the Wildlings prepared the war because the Wildlings hated the Night's Watch, so they teamed up with a Thenn called Styr. And then the Red Wedding continues when Catelyn, Robb, Edmure, Blackfish, and Talisa were invited to the wedding because if they need to access King's Landing, they need to cross a bridge, and the bridge is under Walder Frey's control. So, in order for them to open the bridge, they must marry Edmure Tully to one of Walder Frey's daughters. But in that wedding, well, before that wedding, Theon and Ramsay went back to Roose, and Roose joined the wedding, and Locke joined the Night's Watch. And in the wedding, Talisa was killed, Robb was killed, Catelyn was killed, and Blackfish escaped. And the Hound got Arya, and they escaped the Brotherhood. And then Jaime and Brienne arrived at King's Landing finally. Meanwhile, Oberyn Martell joined the King's Landing storyline because he's here to attend Margaery and Joffrey's wedding. Before Joffrey is supposed to be married with Sansa, but Joffrey liked Marjorie, and of course, Oberyn's wife, Ilaria Sand, and Marjorie's grandmother, Olenna Tyrell, and her uncle, I think, Mace Tyrell, or father. Then Ross was killed by Joffrey, but the Tyrells got their revenge and killed Joffrey, under the help of Peter Baelish. So, under the help of Dontos Hollard, Peter Baelish helped Sansa escape, but killed him. Because why not? And then Team Bran continued to move on. And then Arya and the Hound ran into Polliver, which is Arya's old enemy when they were in Tywin's camp. So Arya killed him. And then Sansa and Peter Baelish escaped. And they met up with Lysa Arryn. Hello again. So Podrick and Brienne was sent to find Sansa. Sent by Jaime and Tyrion, of course. And then Bran, Meera, Jojen, and Hodor ran into Qarl and Rast in Craster's Keep. So the Night's Watch helped trying to clear out the Craster's Keep and killed off Qarl and Rast. Unfortunately, Jon Snow didn't see Bran, and Bran escaped. Meanwhile, Locke also joined the fight, and Locke tried to smuggle Bran away, but got killed by Bran himself through Hodor. Because Bran apparently has powers after he fell off the tower, and now he can warg into Hodor. Oh, by the way, Yara tried to save Theon but failed. And then Lysa Arryn was killed by Peter Baelish because Lysa see Peter Baelish and Sansa made out, so Lysa was jealous, and Lysa got killed by Peter. And then Oberyn Martell tried. Well, long story short, Tyrion was suspected of poisoning King Joffrey, so Tyrion was held on trial. While on trial, he demanded a trial by combat. So, Cersei versus Tyrion. Cersei got the mountain and Tyrion got Oberyn. But unfortunately, the mountain crushed Oberyn's head, and Oberyn is dead, and now Tyrion was sentenced to death. And Jorah Mormont was expelled by Daenerys, because they found out that Jorah was a spy of Varys, so he actually changed. And then they met up with Daario from Second Sons and Grey Worm from the Unsullied. And then the wildlings fought in Castle Black, and Olly killed Ygritte, one of the people in Night's Watch, and Styr also got killed by Jon Snow. And Gren also died, and Pip too. And Jon Snow tried to negotiate with Mance Rayder, and Gendry escaped. And then they went to the wildlings camp, and Stannis killed Mance Rayder, but they were burning Mance Rayder, and Jon Snow put an arrow in Mance Rayder's heart to give him mercy. So that's pretty good. And then Shae got killed after Tyrion realized that Shae was sleeping with his father, Tywin. Shae was Tyrion's lover, but now Shae is his enemy. And of course, when Tyrion found out that Tywin is taking Shae, well, Tywin is also dead. Killed by Tyrion using a crossbow. And then Varys showed up, and Varys helped Tyrion escape to Valyria, or Volantis. And Sansa was married to Ramsay Bolton, according to Peter Baelish's ultimate plan, and Peter Baelish went back to King's Landing. And meanwhile, in Team Bran, Bran met up with Three-Eyed Raven, and this costed Jojen's life. Meanwhile, Podrick and Brienne ran into Hot Pie and was looking for the Hound. And as they went to the Hound, Brienne and the Hound had a brutal fight, and the Hound died, assumably. Meanwhile, Arya escaped to Braavos. and she met up with Jaqen Hagar, aka Faceless Man, and his assistant, the Waif. And Jorah tried to go back with Daenerys, meanwhile taking Tyrion. And then Jaime and Bronn was given a mission to retrieve Cersei's daughter, Myrcella Baratheon, who is in the Martell's hands. Because Oberyn's Martell died, so they might also kill Myrcella. And Elara Sand was also there. And then the Sons of Harpy showed up and tried to go against Daenerys. And that costed Barristan Selmy's life. And then Hizdahr showed up, which married Daenerys. And then High Sparrow showed up and imprisoned Loras Tyrell, Margaery Tyrell, and Cersei Lannister. Oh shit. How did I mess that up? Cersei Lannister. Why? Well, High Sparrow is basically like the Pope, but evil Pope. He is the leader of a religious team of people. Religious people. Faith militant. Well, anyways, Hizdahr died after getting killed by Sons of the Harpy, and Drogon, one of the 3 dragons, appeared and killed almost all the Sons of the Harpy. And then the mountain became a weird zombie thing. After almost getting killed by Oberyn, under Qyburn's help, who was saved by Robb Stark but now in King's Landing helping Cersei. And Jon Snow and Tormund had a very bad time in Hardhome trying to grab wildlings. Why did they do it? Because Jon Snow had an idea to save all the wildlings by bringing them into Castle Black. And then Stannis tried to attack Roose Bolton, because apparently Roose Bolton had Winterfell. So Stannis tried to fight them, and in order to fight them, Melisandre had an idea to kill off Shireen, because Shireen has the king's blood. But she was wrong. So Melisandre and Davos went back, and Stannis got found by Brienne and Podrick, and Brienne killed Stannis. Meanwhile, Jon Snow sent Samwell Tarly and his girlfriend Gilly away to Hornhill because Aemon Targaryen died, the Maester of the Night's Watch, so Samwell Tarly is to be the next Maester. And then there's the Ollie dude, and then there's the Alliser Thorne dude. Because they think that Jon Snow is wrong by bringing wildlings into Castle Black, so they killed Jon Snow. And also, Cersei is free from High Sparrow, but had to do the Walk of Shame. Meanwhile, Myrcella was poisoned. And then there was Trystane and Doran Myrtle, who tried to make peace with Jaime and Bronn. And then Jon Snow was revived by Melisandre. But Theon killed Myranda, which is Ramsay's ex-girlfriend, who tried to hurt Sansa because she's jealous after Sansa was married. And Theon and Sansa escaped Winterfell and got help from Brienne and Podrick. And Ramsay killed Roose, because why not? And then Euron Greyjoy showed up and killed Balon Greyjoy, which is Yara's father. And then Jaime and Bronn went back to King's Landing with a very bad news. Myrcella's dead. And under the help of Sand Snakes, Elara Sand successfully killed Doran Martell and Trystane Martell. And Theon went back with Yara Greyjoy. And then there's Meryn Trant. Meryn Trant and Mace Tyrell was sent to Braavos by Cersei Lannister because they need to fix financial problems. And Arya saw Meryn Trant coming, who killed Syrio Forel. So Arya killed Meryn Trant, but got blinded because of that. And Alliser Thorne and Ollie got hung by Jon Snow. And Brienne and Podrick brought Sansa back to Castle Black with Jon Snow. And then here's the bad news, because Ramsay Bolton found Rickon Stark and Asha and killed Asha. So now he kidnapped Rickon. Meanwhile, Daenerys went away after flying her Drogon and got captured by Khal Marrow. And with Jorah and Daario's help, yes, Jorah returned. Daenerys killed off Khal Marrow. And then the Night King showed up in Bran's vision and left a mark on Bran's arm, therefore letting him into Three-Eyed Raven's cave. And therefore Three-Eyed Raven got killed, and Hodor also got killed, trying to save Bran. And Bran and Meera tried to escape. Meanwhile, Jaqen H'ghar, aka Faceless Man, gave Arya a new mission after giving her her eyes back, which is to assassinate Lady Crane, who is an actress. But unfortunately, the Wave killed Lady Crane after she knew that Arya failed her mission. And Arya killed the Wave somehow, and Arya went back to Westeros. Meanwhile, this is the final son of Cersei Lannister, Tommen Baratheon. And because Tommen Baratheon started to cooperate with High Sparrow, Jaime is an enemy of High Sparrow, so Tommen sent Jaime and Bronn away to help the Freys to get back Riverrun, which is a castle held by Blackfish. Unfortunately, Blackfish died after Brienne and Podrick arrived at Riverrun. Meanwhile, the Hound is actually alive. Oh my gosh. And the Hound ran into the Brotherhood without banners again. Meanwhile, because of Euron, Theon and Yara went to Meereen and meet up with Daenerys. And Benjen Stark, which is Ned Stark's brother, helped Bran and Meera escape from the Night King and their White Walkers. Meanwhile, Jon Snow teamed up with Lyanna Mormont. Why? Because they are about to attack Ramsay Snow, or Bolton. And after the Great Battle of the Bastards, Rickon unfortunately died. But fortunately, Ramsay also died, under the help of Peter Baelish, with his Arryn army. And then, of course, Olenna Tyrell escaped King's Landing, because Margaery said so, and met up with Elara Sand. And Varys also met up with them, and tried to plot against Cersei Lannister. Meanwhile, Melisandre was exiled, because apparently Jon Snow finally realized that Melisandre killed Shireen Baratheon, so Melisandre was expelled to the south. And then Daario had to be left behind in Meereen, because someone must rule Meereen, right? And Arya went back to Westeros and killed off Walder Frey and two of his sons. And because the trial for Cersei Lannister is beginning, held by High Sparrow, Cersei actually blew up Sept of Baelor and killed High Sparrow, Mace Tyrell, Margaery Tyrell, Loras Tyrell, and because Margaery's dead, Tommen killed himself. Kevan Lannister is also dead, and so is his son, Lancel Lannister. And then Benjen Stark went away again. And at the very end, we finally realized that Jon Snow is not Ned's son. It's actually Lyanna and Rhaegar Targaryen's son. So, this is the end of the Game of Thrones recap. Feel free to correct me if I have made any mistakes. If you like and subscribe if you want more.